pencils. Today we're going to take a very basic look at Google Slides. So come along, I'll share my screen, we'll go over the basics, the toolbars, the features, everything that you'll need to know to make yourself comfortable with Google Slides. Once you have that knowledge of the basics, you can build and learn and make things and create different activities for your students with Google Slides. So here's my screen. All right, let's start here in Slides. Remember, to get here, all I did was click on the waffle and then click the slides. So once you're here to create a new presentation, you can start with a blank document right here, or you can use one of the templates if any of these look like something you'd like to use. You can go through the template gallery here. It expands, but I want to go back to just the blank one. So my recent presentations that I've been working on are here at the bottom. To do the new one, I'm going to click the plus sign one time, and you can see that it opens an untitled presentation. It automatically pops up with click to add title and subtitle. On the right hand, you can see those themes I talked about. If you want to add the color or change anything like that, there's plenty of options that Google defaults to. I don't want to mess with that right now, so I'm going to close it. That gives me more room to work in across my screen. And I actually don't even want these text boxes. So one way to delete them is to get the four little arrows like I have right there. Click it one time so that it highlights the whole box in blue, and then I can push the delete key on my keyboard. Or I can right click here and click cut. That will get rid of it. I can also, but now that I have a blinking cursor, if I do the right click, cut doesn't even come up. It thinks I'm trying to cut away some text that I never wrote. So we need to go back, get the blinking cursor to go away by finding those four cross arrows, clicking it to select it, and then delete it. All right. Now, before I go too much farther, I do want to rename this. I don't want it to be called Untitled Presentation Forever. So I'm just going to click up here and title it Patton's Pencils Slides Tutorial. All right, and enter. And you can see it saves it automatically in the cloud. Don't worry about anything else. Here, I'm going to start with that same title. Oops. But I want to make it different. If you want to change the size of your title, if you want to change what kind of font style it is, if you want to change the color of it, all of these things are going to be in the toolbar right here in the middle. In fact, if I go slow enough, that black box will tell me what they are. So that's the font. If I click that arrow, I have all of these choices of fonts. Let's pick Aladdin. But it didn't change anything, did it? That's because none of my text was highlighted. If I start to type now, it's the new font. But I want my old words to be the new font. That means I need to select them with that blue bar here and then change that font to Aladdin, and it makes it different. But they got too small, so I'm going to go right back up to the same toolbar and I'm going to change the font size. I could change it just a little by hitting the plus size one number at a time, or I can click where the number is and just pick a nice big font. All right. I want it even bigger. Let's go to 60. All right. But let's say I don't want it to be in all one line. Now I'm going to use these little square boxes on the outside. If I grab this one, it will shorten it sideways. If I grab this one or this one, it will make it flatter, shorter from top to bottom. If I grab the corner, I can do both at once, like that. Okay, if you get too carried away and you end up upside down, that's what happens. So be careful. If you get into a bind, you can always hit Control Z and it takes it right back to the very last thing you did. Okay, now let's center this. I'm going to get my 4 cross arrows and center it right where those red lines tell me is the middle. And there we go. If I want to change the background, I don't want a white background anymore. I'm going to either click background right here or right click and change background. I get the same options either way, and I can pick a color. I can make it a solid orange. Looks like a pumpkin. I don't really like that. I could make it a gradient. That means it'll change from light to dark. I could do that. Makes it a little more interesting. In fact, I think I might leave that. But my letters, I don't like that color. I want them to pop just a little bit more. So I think we're going to do dark blue. Okay. So there is my Patton's Pencil Slides tutorial. This blue right here is where I picked to change my text color. If you notice, there are other fill colors or border colors that you can get into. If I change the fill color, let's just make it light blue, you can see it fills the whole text box with that color. Now, I don't like that my text isn't centered from top to bottom. So I'm going to go up here where the Align toolbar is, click it, and there are lots of options. I can left align it like that. I can center it like it was, or right align it. I could even stretch it to fit, but that's never one that I like to pick. It messes with my eyeballs too much. So let's stay with the center, but under that there's 3 more options. This is, do I want my text at the top of the text box, the middle of the text box, or the bottom? Well, I almost always want it centered in the middle. Do you see how that popped up? I'll do it again. Here, center it from top to bottom, and now it looks perfect. I can even give this a border weight. 1 isn't very big, so let's go nice and thick with a 4. You can see how it pops up. The border color is in this toolbar right there is black. Well, I can change that. I can make it a super dark blue, but I can also change what kind of line it is. Is it a solid border line? See how that's solid? But if I select this, my options come back to change it, and I can make it a dashed border. So if you have something that maybe you want to simulate where the students would cut it and drag it somewhere, you could always use the dashed border like that, and that's exactly what it would show as. So now that you notice I haven't selected anything, I clicked off of my text box, and the toolbar changes at the top. Oh boy, how do I get the text back? Simply select your box, and all of those options in the toolbar come racing back. All right? You can get into bulleted lists, numbered lists, any of that. If you really want to make it a fancy layout, you can. You can do indents, and there's even more here where it says animate. That's a fun one. We'll do that now. If I animate it, I get to choose on a slide presentation in present mode. What will happen? Do I want it to fade in on click? Let's show you what that means. I'm going to push play. And then click, and it fades in. I'm going to push stop, and I'm going to go back here and change it. Maybe I want to fly it in from the left. That's usually a fun one. So play. And then as soon as a student were to click, it would slide in from the left. They say fly, but it's pretty slow. So there's that. I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave that just the way it is and go on to the next features. Now that you have text here, we're going to need another slide. The thumbnails will always be on the left. Okay, so we're going to add a slide. If I add the plus sign, if I click that, it's going to just give me the same kind of slide I used the last time. But I don't want that. I'm actually going to click the drop down arrow and I'm going to look at all of the options I have. My favorite, because I like to just add things and not mess around, is to start with a blank slide. So I clicked blank. And here we go. We're going to get rid of this motion thing. We don't need it anymore. And we have a new slide to work with. Now, one of the things that we went over in our PD session was how to add a text box. I didn't add that last one, remember? It was already there. So if I want to insert anything new, it's all going to be under the Insert menu. I could click Insert and insert an image or a text box, audio, video, shapes, tables and charts, even word art. Okay? Or you can check out what the toolbar has right here for you. I haven't selected anything yet, but I have the options to add a text box. If I click that, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click and drag. So click and hold, drag the text box. I could make it long and skinny, short, wide. I could fill up the whole place. Let's just make a normal size text box. Here, I'm going to type my students' directions. I'm going to say, visit Mrs. Patton. Oops. Patton's Google Classroom for the latest assignments. Okay, now I want to link them to my Google Classroom. So what I'm going to do is get that link ready. That means over here, I'm going to add a new tab. I'm going to go to my classroom. And let's just use our summer PD class. So in here, I want to click on the classwork tab. And I'm going to click at the top so that the address bar is highlighted in blue. Then I'm going to do Control-C to copy it. And when I go back here, I want to link these words to my Google Classroom. Right there. If I highlight them with my blue highlighter, I select them. Then I'm going to go up and look on the toolbar menu for a link. Let's see, here it is, insert link. Now I'm going to Control Paste right there and hit apply. If I did it successfully, you will see it changes color and adds a line under the text that is now hyperlinked. So here we go. If I click it, there's where it will take me right to my Google course or classwork tab. All right, if I want to take this out, I just click here to remove the link. Just chop it, break it. If I need to edit it, I could click there. If I wanted to duplicate it, copy it for somewhere else, I would click that one. I don't want to do any of those things, so I'm going to click off of it. Now, let's see. If we insert an image, search the web. Insert a Google Classroom icon. All right, so we're gonna just take this, select it, insert, let it think, and there it goes. Now I also want to link this picture to the same place. That means I have to select it because right now I don't have a very big toolbar to work with. I'm going to select it so it turns blue on the edges, and I'm going to link it by pasting it in and applying that same link. Now this text and this picture are linked to the same thing. All right, there's that. If I want to add a tutorial for my students on how to use Google Classroom, that might be something I can put in this area. So we're going to insert a video. So Google Classroom tutorial, for students. Now, you really should take your time, watch the video, make sure it's correct, and in something like Google that changes very quickly, I want to look at the dates. The most recent one is probably going to be the most helpful. So here's an 8-minute video. I'm going to select it and insert it. Now remember, however large this is how large it is when your students view it in present mode. So I am going to make this a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Oh, if you go off of the white slide, see how the video is taller than the white slide? That means whatever is on the outside of the white slide, your students won't be able to see. So here, I actually need to make this smaller. Grabbing it back. That red line right there tells me that's the edge of the slide. I'm going to leave it as big as I can. However, now it's covering up my stuff. I want this to be in front of the video. So I'm going to click Arrange, Order, and Bring to Front. So now it's on front of the video. You know, that's still not great because if they have to view the video, it's going to cover up some of that. So I really should just make it smaller and stick it on the side, right about there. Same with this text. We're going to grab the box and make it, woo, that's very skinny. Make it a little bit better here. There we go. And now these things match. In fact, the red lines will line it up exactly where I want it. Remember, if you want to change this and make it centered, you certainly can by going to the Align menu. All right, there we go. In fact, let's add some directions here. Click the video to see a tutorial on... I don't even need that. We could just leave it. But once again, I covered up my words. So we'll just leave it here like that. Okay. All set. If I select the video, remember the toolbars change depending on what you select. If I select that, I can start this at a certain time or end it at a certain time if I don't want my students to view the whole video. All right, that's a lot to take in. In fact, let's pause here for a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, I know this is a lot of information. I'm giving you a lot of little details and talking pretty quickly. So please pause the video, take notes, try it yourself, come back and keep working. This is not something that you'll get in just one sitting. It takes you practicing, using your own time, making those little clicks and tricks a little easier, okay? Take your time, pause the video, do your best. If you're on my teacher team, go ahead and give me an email if you have questions. Remember, I'm here to help you. So whatever you need, let me know. But here we go, back in. Back to the video. There's only one other thing I want to remind my colleagues of if you're on my teacher team. When you check out this video here, you can mute it or autoplay. Those are all self-explanatory. But you need to make sure that your students can view this video. By clicking on that YouTube link, it pops open a new window for me. And I can see that this video right down here in the corner is not approved for nilesmckinley.org. I would have to click approve if my students are want to see it. They will not be able to see anything signed into their Google account that has not been approved for our district. Now, what happens if you forget? Then you have lots of students knocking on your door or sending you emails saying they can't view it. So here, I'm going to go back. I did that part, close that window, and stay on my Google Slides. There was one thing I forgot to tell you, though, with editing pictures and other objects. If you were to select that picture, okay, let's select it. Now I know it's selected because the blue box is around it. There are other options that come up for formatting here. Okay, if you don't see those format options, you can always go to Format and Format Options. It pops up this window if it's not there already, and you can change it. You can recolor it. It gives you options here. I don't want to recolor anything though. I like the Google Colors. It can snap to a grid position. You can change it if you want to flip it horizontally or vertically. Ooh, upside down? I don't think so. And we'll put it back where it was. Now, to crop an image, you may use the toolbar at the top right here to crop your image or mask your image. The easiest way for me is to double click, and it highlights it now. Instead of just the blue edges, it has a gray or black edge to it. The little rectangles here will allow me to click and drag and crop it wherever I want. So if I click off of it and deselect it, I just chop the top of it off. If I don't like that and I want to undo a mistake or redo something, remember there's an undo or a redo button right there. I can undo it there and it pops right back up, exactly where it was before. My trick is I like to use the keyboard shortcuts. So you can see here it says Control Z. That's what I hold every time I make a mistake. And trust me, that button gets a workout. All right, let's see. These were the basic things we covered in class. We covered how to rename your document, how to add, delete a text box, how to change the font and the color. We linked the web address here and web address to the image. If you want to delete an image, you just click on it, and I hit the delete button, but you can also right click and hit cut. It will go away. But if you want it to come back, remember that Control Z brings it right back where it was. It undoes the last thing we did. And inserting a video here was pretty self-explanatory. We went to Insert, Video, and brought it in through Google. If you have a video in your Google Drive, you could go over there and pull it up. I have some all ready to go. If I wanted to add some Peg plus Cat, I could, or the soap sculptures from 9th grade. I could add that video as well. I would select it here, there, and as soon as it would enter in. I don't want to do that today, so I'm going to click close. We're good with this tutorial now. Something that you might need to pay attention to is these two buttons here. You have your share button. Most of you are very adept at sharing it. It asks you who you want to share it with. You just type those people, change the link to make sure they're within our school, or this present mode. It's sort of a preview button to see what you're Okay, that's the basics. We've covered all of the little tips and tricks and pieces you need to know to make this work for you and your students. I hope that you are inspired to try a design and try something new with Google Slides, because many of the features that we went over today are the same across Google platform. So the G Suite for Education has all of the same features, the same toolbars and tips and tricks that you can use if you learn it in this one, you can use it in Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Draw. Google Forms is a little bit different. We'll go over that in another video. But the things that you learned in Google Slide will likely help you in all of the other Google products. So thanks for watching, and be confident. Go practice. Make it work for you and your students. Bye!